Millinaire CEO paid her debt for a baby. But after taking her virginity, he fell in love and kept her. Alea had been working double shifts for 3 months straight. Her grandmother was on dialysis twice a week, and the medical bills were crushing them. Student loans, rent, utilities, everything was past due. She was drowning, and nobody was throwing her a rope. Have you ever been so desperate that a stranger's offer felt like salvation? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. You're willing to pay off all my debt just to have my child? 21-year-old Alea Johnson stared at the man in the expensive suit sitting across from her at the IHOP counter. She thought he was joking until he slid a folder across the sticky surface and opened it. Inside was a cashier's check for $98,000 and a legal document with her name already typed at the bottom. Have you ever been so desperate that a stranger's offer felt like salvation? Have you watched someone you love suffer because you couldn't afford to help them? Maybe you've counted coins for groceries while bills piled up on your kitchen table. If so, you'll understand what happened next. Alea had been working double shifts for 3 months straight. Her grandmother was on dialysis twice a week, and the medical bills were crushing them. Student loans, rent, utilities, everything was past due. She was drowning, and nobody was throwing her a rope. Then Jackson West walked into her life. This tech millionaire from Austin didn't want a girlfriend. He didn't want a wife. He wanted something much more complicated. What would you do if someone offered you $98,000 to carry their child? No strings attached, or so they claimed. Before we go any further, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Have you ever faced an impossible choice? Hit subscribe because this story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about love, money, and the price of dreams. The condition he mentioned next would change everything Alea thought she knew about herself. And when she found out the truth about his past, she realized she wasn't the first woman he'd made this offer to. She was just the first to say yes. Stay with me, because what happens next will challenge everything you believe about desperation and the lengths people will go to survive. It was 2:17 a.m. when Alea finished counting her tips for the third time, hoping the numbers would somehow change. $43.16. Not even enough to cover her grandmother's prescription copay. She sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by overdue notices. Electric bill, $247 past due. Rent, $1,200 behind. Student loan payment, $389 missed for the second month. Her phone buzzed with another automated message about her grandmother's upcoming dialysis appointment. The man had walked into IHOP during the late shift when the restaurant was empty except for a few truckers and insomniacs. He ordered black coffee and watched her work for 2 hours. Never touched his phone, never looked away. When her shift ended, he approached the counter. Alea Johnson, his voice was smooth, confident, the kind of voice that belonged to someone who never worried about money. "We're closed." She kept wiping down the counter, avoiding eye contact. "I'm not here for food." He placed a business card on the surface. "I'm here to make you an offer." The card read, Jackson West, CEO, Genesis Fertility Solutions, Austin, Texas. "I know about your grandmother's condition. I know about your student loans. I know you're behind on rent." He sat down on the stool across from her. "I can solve all of that." Alea's hands stopped moving. "How do you know about my grandmother?" "I make it my business to know things." He opened his briefcase and pulled out the folder. "I'm prepared to pay off every debt you have. Student loans, medical bills, rent, everything. Plus enough left over for you to finish school. What's the catch? I want you to have my child." The words hit her like cold water. She stepped back, laughing nervously. "Okay, this is some kind of joke, right? Did Marcus put you up to this?" Jackson's expression didn't change. He slid the folder across the counter. "Open it." Inside was a cashier's check for $98,000 and a legal contract with her name already filled in. The check was real. The letterhead was real. The signature was real. "You're serious?" Her voice came out as a whisper. "Completely." He leaned forward. "I need someone pure. Someone who hasn't been corrupted by wealth or fame. Someone genuine." The condition he mentioned next would change everything she thought she knew about herself. "I need someone who's never been with another man. Alea's cheeks burned. She set the contract down and stepped back from the counter. "Excuse me, a virgin?" Jackson's voice was matter of fact, like he was ordering coffee. "That's non-negotiable. You're insane." She grabbed the folder and shoved it back toward him. "This is insane. My father had affairs. Multiple children with different women. When he died, 3 families showed up to his funeral, all claiming inheritance rights." Jackson's jaw tightened. "I watched my mother's world fall apart because she never knew who my father really was. So you want to what? Control your own situation? I want to know exactly where my child comes from. No complications. No history. No other men's influence." He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo of a massive building with Genesis Fertility Solutions in silver letters. "I built a company around helping people create families, but I want to create mine the natural way. With a stranger, with someone honest, someone who won't lie to me about their past." He leaned back. "I've done my research, Alea. You've never had a serious relationship. You focused on taking care of your grandmother and working. That's exactly what I'm looking for." The words stung because they were true. While her friends were dating and partying, she was working double shifts and sitting in hospital waiting rooms. She'd turned down dates because she couldn't afford to go anywhere, and she'd never trusted anyone enough to get close. This is completely crazy. Is it crazier than watching your grandmother suffer because you can't afford her treatment? Is it crazier than working yourself to death for minimum wage while your dreams slip away? Alea's phone buzzed. Another medical bill notification. $2,847 for last week's emergency room visit when her grandmother's blood pressure spiked. "I'm not asking you to love me," Jackson continued. "I'm asking you to give me a child and let me give you a future. One night, that's all. Then you can go back to your life, debt-free, with enough money to finish school and take care of your grandmother properly." "Why me?" When she asked why her, his answer would haunt her for months. "Because you're the only woman I've met who hasn't tried to use me for something." Alea stared at her grandmother's face, peaceful in sleep, but gray from exhaustion. The dialysis treatments were getting harder. The doctors had mentioned something about a transplant, but the waiting list was years long and the cost was impossible. 3 days had passed since Jackson's offer. She'd hidden the contract in her dresser drawer, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. She'd researched him online. Everything checked out. Genesis Fertility Solutions was a real company worth millions. He'd been featured in Forbes as one of Austin's most successful young entrepreneurs. But the reviews from former employees painted a different picture. Words like demanding, controlling, and obsessive appeared repeatedly. "Baby, you look tired." Her grandmother's voice was weak, but concerned. "You working too much again?" "I'm fine, grandma." Alea squeezed her hand. "How are you feeling?" "Like I'm holding you back." Tears formed in the older woman's eyes. "I see you working yourself to death for me, and I can't stand it." "Don't say that. You raised me. You saved me when Mama went to prison. I'm not going anywhere. I'm 73 years old, Alea. I've lived my life. But you're 21. You should be in school, dating, having fun. Instead, you're here watching me die slowly." "You're not dying. The doctors told me about the transplant. They told me how much it costs." Her grandmother's grip tightened. "I also know we don't have that kind of money." That night, Alea sat in her car outside the hospital, crying until her eyes burned. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, it's Jackson. Have you made your decision? I need to know something first." She wiped her face. "What happens after? After the baby comes. You'll have full custody. I'll pay child support. You can raise the child however you want, wherever you want. I just want to be involved in their life. And if I say no, then you say no. I'll find someone else, and you'll keep struggling. But I hope you don't. I hope you choose to save yourself and your grandmother." She had no idea the contract was just the beginning of his plan. The next morning, she drove to the bank and deposited the check. That afternoon, she called the number on his business card. "I'll do it." Jackson's penthouse apartment looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked downtown Austin, and everything was white, black, or silver. No family photos, no personal touches. Just expensive furniture and the cold perfection of someone who lived alone. You can change your mind, he said as he poured himself a glass of whiskey. Even now, I'll let you keep half the money. Alea sat on the edge of his leather couch, her hands shaking. No, I already paid my grandmother's medical bills. I can't take that back. Are you sure about this? About your experience level? Heat rushed her cheeks. I think I would know. I had to ask. Some women lie about that. I don't lie. She stood up, anger flashing through her nervousness. If you think I'm lying, then find someone else. I don't think you're lying. He set down his glass and walked toward her. I think you're scared. Of course I'm scared. This is insane. You don't have to be scared of me. His voice was gentler now. I'm not going to hurt you. You don't even know me. I know you worked 3 jobs to take care of your grandmother. I know you graduated high school with a 3.9 GPA but couldn't afford college. I know you've never been arrested, never done drugs, never even gotten a speeding ticket. He stopped in front of her. I know you're a good person. You had me investigated. I had to. This is important to me. Why? She looked up at him. Why is this so important that you'd pay a stranger to have your baby? For the first time since she'd met him, Jackson looked uncertain. Because I want to do this right. I want to be the father mine never was. And I want my child to come from someone good. You could adopt. I want my own blood, my own legacy. His eyes darkened. I want to know that part of me will continue, no matter what happens. The way he said it made her stomach twist, like he was planning for something terrible. What if you change your mind? What if you decide you don't want the baby? I won't. But what if you do? I won't. He cupped her face in his hands. I promise you, Alea, I will never abandon my child. What happened next surprised them both. The encounter that was supposed to be cold and businesslike became something else entirely. He was gentle, patient, and when it was over, he held her like she mattered. And then he cried. Not loud, dramatic tears, just quiet sobs that shook his shoulders as he held her against his chest. She didn't know what to do, so she just stayed there, listening to his heartbeat and wondering what kind of man pays a stranger to have his baby and then falls apart afterward. What he whispered in her ear would change the nature of their arrangement forever. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. 6 weeks later, Alea sat in her bathroom at 5 a.m., staring at the pink lines on the pregnancy test. She bought 3 different brands, hoping one would tell her something different. They all said the same thing. Pregnant. Her hand shook as she picked up her phone to call Jackson. It rang 4 times before he answered. Alea? It's early. I need to see you. Now. What's wrong? Just, can you come over? Please. He was at her apartment in 20 minutes, still wearing yesterday's clothes like he'd never gone to bed. She handed him the test without saying a word. His face changed completely. The cold businessman disappeared, replaced by someone who looked almost happy. Are you sure? I took 3 tests. They're all positive. He sat down heavily on her couch and buried his face in his hands. For a moment, she thought he was upset. Then she heard him laughing. This is really happening. He looked up at her with tears in his eyes. We're having a baby. You're having a baby, she corrected. That was the deal, right? Of course. But something in his expression had shifted. Have you seen a doctor yet? I made an appointment for next week. Cancel it. I'll get you the best obstetrician in Austin. Someone who specializes in high-risk pregnancies. I'm not high risk. You're carrying my child. That makes you high risk in my book. He stood up and started pacing. We need to make sure you're eating right, taking vitamins, avoiding stress. I'll have my assistant research the best prenatal care facilities. Jackson, slow down. It's just a doctor's appointment. Nothing about this is just anything. He stopped pacing and looked at her. This child is going to be perfect. Healthy. Strong. I won't accept anything less. The way he said it made her stomach drop, like the baby was a product he was developing, not a person. What if something goes wrong? What if the baby isn't perfect? It will be. I've done my research. Your family has good genes. No history of genetic disorders. Strong immune systems. High intelligence. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. What? The contract needs to be updated. The original agreement was for conception only. Now that you're pregnant, we need new terms. What kind of terms? Living arrangements, medical care, financial support during the pregnancy. He was already dialing. I want you closer to me. In Austin. I can't move to Austin. My grandmother. I'll take care of your grandmother. The best doctors, the best facilities. He held up his hand when she started to protest. This isn't negotiable, Alea. You're carrying my child now. That changes everything. Instead of walking away, he dropped to one knee. Marry me. Alea stared at him kneeling in her tiny living room, his expensive suit wrinkled, his hair messy from running his hands through it. This wasn't how proposals were supposed to happen. What? I know this wasn't part of the original plan, but everything's changed. He pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. I want us to be a real family. Jackson, get up. This is crazy. Is it? We're having a baby together. We're attracted to each other. We're both intelligent, successful people who want the same things. We barely know each other. We know enough. He opened the box. Inside was a diamond ring, so large it looked fake. I know you're kind. I know you're loyal. I know you put family first. Those are the qualities I want in a wife. You don't want a wife. You want a mother for your child. I want both. He stood up, still holding the ring. I want to give her child everything I never had. A stable home, two parents who are committed to each other, a real family, based on a business transaction, based on mutual respect and shared goals. He stepped closer. I can give you everything, Alea. A beautiful home, the best schools, financial security for life. Your grandmother will have the best medical care money can buy. And what do you get? The family I've always wanted. The legacy I need to build. His eyes were intense, desperate. Say yes, please. She thought about her grandmother lying in that hospital bed, talking about being a burden. She thought about her student loans, her dead-end job, her tiny apartment with the broken air conditioning. She thought about growing up without a father and promising herself she'd never put a child through that. This is insane. That's not an answer. If I say yes, what happens to the original contract? We teared up. This becomes real. A real marriage, a real family. He reached for her hand. I know I'm not the easiest person to love, but I'll be good to you. I'll be good to our child. I promise. You can't promise that. You don't know what kind of father you'll be. I know what kind of father I won't be. His grip tightened. I won't abandon my child. I won't lie to my wife. I won't create chaos and call it love. The ring was heavy on her finger when he slipped it on. Too heavy, like a chain disguised as jewelry. I need time to think. We don't have time. I want you moved to Austin before the end of the month. But someone from his past was watching and planning. The condo in Dallas was everything Alea had dreamed of as a child. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen with granite countertops, and a view of the city skyline. Jackson had furnished it perfectly. Soft blues and whites, a nursery already set up with expensive furniture. You didn't have to do all this, she said, running her hand along the crib's railing. I wanted to. He stood in the doorway, watching her. I want you to be comfortable. Happy. I am. And she was mostly. The apartment was beautiful. Her grandmother was in a private care facility with round-the-clock nurses, and she was enrolled in online classes to finish her degree. Everything was perfect. So why did she feel like something was wrong? I have a surprise for you. Jackson handed her a credit card. For anything you need. Clothes, books, whatever makes you happy. I don't need anything. You need maternity clothes and things for the baby. He sat down next to her on the couch. I want you to enjoy this. Being pregnant, preparing for a child. I want you to feel spoiled. I feel guilty. Why? Because 6 months ago, I was counting tips to pay for groceries, and now I'm living in a place I could never afford. She touched her still flat stomach. It doesn't feel real. It's real. You're real. Our baby is real. He pulled her closer. You deserve this, Alea. You deserve to be taken care of by someone who loves me. I do love you. The words came out too quickly, like he'd been practicing them. I love who you are. I love what we're building together. You love the idea of me, the idea of us. Isn't that enough? Most marriages are built on less. Maybe he was right. Maybe love was supposed to grow over time. Maybe the flutter in her chest when he smiled was the beginning of something real. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Is this Alea Johnson? Yes. This is Detective Martinez with the Austin Police Department. I need to ask you some questions about Jackson West. The phone call she overheard would shatter her fairy tale. Questions about what? Alea glanced at Jackson, who had suddenly gone very still. It's regarding a missing person case. Keisha Williams. She was last seen leaving Mr. West's office building 3 months ago. I don't know anyone named Keisha. We have reason to believe she may have been involved in a business arrangement with Mr. West similar to yours. Alea's blood turned cold. How do you know about my arrangement? Ms. Johnson, I think it would be best if we spoke in person. Can you come to the station tomorrow? I'll have to call you back. She hung up and turned to Jackson, who was staring out the window like he hadn't heard anything. Who's Keisha Williams? I don't know. The detective said she was involved in a business arrangement with you. The detective is fishing. They do that when they don't have real leads. He turned to face her. What did you tell him? Nothing. I hung up. Good. Don't talk to them again without a lawyer present. Why would I need a lawyer? Because cops like to twist things. They like to make innocent people look guilty. He sat down next to her. I've never heard of this Keisha person, but if she was involved with my company, there would be records. That night, after Jackson left for Austin, Alea couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the detective's voice, the way he'd said, similar to yours, like he knew exactly what kind of arrangement she had with Jackson. She opened Jackson's laptop, which he'd left on the coffee table. He'd never given her the password, but she tried a few obvious combinations. His birthday, his company name, the date they'd met. Nothing worked. Then she tried her name. The screen unlocked. His desktop was organized into folders. Business, personal, legal, medical. She clicked on personal first, her heart racing. Inside were dozens of subfolders, each labeled with a woman's name. Her own name was there, along with 15 others. She opened the first one. Jessica Martinez, 19, Dallas, Texas. College student, parents deceased, working 2 jobs to pay for school. There were photos, background checks, financial records, even medical records. At the bottom of the folder was a document titled Rejection Letter. She opened another folder. Same format. Background information, photos, rejection letter. She opened her own folder. Everything was there. Her high school transcripts, her grandmother's medical records, photos of her at work, even her apartment lease. At the bottom was a document titled Acceptance Letter. Her hand shook as she opened the last folder. Keisha Williams, 20, Houston, Texas. College dropout. Mother deceased, father unknown. Working in a nightclub. But Keisha's folder was different. Instead of a rejection letter, there was a contract. The same contract Alea had signed. And at the bottom, in red letters, was a single word, missing. One file was marked missing, and it belonged to someone who looked just like her. Alea spent the next 3 hours reading everything in Keisha's file. The girl was from Houston, just like she'd initially thought when she saw the folder. But the more she read, the more similarities she found. Keisha had also been working multiple jobs. Also had a sick family member she was trying to support. Also had never been in a serious relationship. Also fit Jackson's specific requirements. The contract was identical to the one Alea had signed, except for the amount. Keisha had been offered $75,000. Less than what Alea got, but still life-changing money for someone struggling to survive. The last entry in a file was dated 3 months ago. A single line, contract terminated. Subject, non-compliant. What did that mean? Non-compliant with what? She searched for Keisha Williams online. The first result was a missing person report filed by her roommate. Last seen leaving her apartment on March 15th. Her car was found abandoned 2 days later in a parking garage downtown Austin, the same building where Jackson's company was located. Alea's phone buzzed. A text from Jackson, working late tonight. See you tomorrow. Love you. She screenshot the message and kept reading. There were police interviews with Keisha's roommate, her co-workers, her family members. Everyone said the same thing. She'd been excited about a new opportunity, a chance to make enough money to get out of debt and start fresh. Sound familiar? She found a photo of Keisha in one of the news articles. The girl was beautiful, with dark skin and kind eyes. She looked young, hopeful. She looked like someone who'd believe a stranger's promise to change her life. She looked like Alea. Actually, she looked exactly like Alea. Same height, same build, same facial structure. They could have been sisters. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Ms. Johnson? This is Detective Martinez. I tried calling earlier. I remember. I need to ask you some questions about your relationship with Jackson West. I told you. I need to think about it. Ms. Johnson, I'm going to be direct with you. We have evidence that Mr. West has approached multiple young women with similar offers. Most of them turned him down, but 2 of them didn't. 2, you and Keisha Williams. The difference is you're still alive. The words hit her like a physical blow. You think he killed her? I think she signed a contract with him and then disappeared. I think he might be in danger. That's impossible. I'm pregnant with a child. So was she. The room started spinning. Alea sat down hard on the couch. The phone pressed to her ear. What? Keisha Williams was 8 weeks pregnant when she disappeared. According to her medical records, she'd never been pregnant before. Just like you. I don't understand. I think you do. I think you understand exactly what kind of man you're dealing with. When she confronted him, his reaction confirmed her worst fears. What would you do if you discovered the man you trusted had a pattern of targeting women just like you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This story is about to take a turn that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about trust and manipulation. You're a liar. Alea's voice cut through the silence of the condo like a blade. She stood in the doorway, holding the missing persons report she'd printed at the library. Jackson looked up from his laptop, his face going pale when he saw the paper in her hand. What is that? Keisha Williams, 20 years old, from Memphis. Sound familiar? She threw the report on the coffee table. She answered your ad too, didn't she? Before me. Alea, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been doing this for years? That you collect poor black girls like trophies? Her voice rose with each word. The police report says she was last seen getting into a black BMW outside a diner in Austin. Your car, Jackson. He stood up slowly, his hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. You don't understand. Keisha was different. She was what? Not good enough for your perfect baby, so you got rid of her. She lied to me. His voice turned cold. She wasn't what she claimed to be. She had a boyfriend. She was trying to scam me for money. So you killed her? I didn't kill anyone. The words exploded from him. She took my money and disappeared. I never saw her again after that night. The night you paid her to sleep with you, the night I realized she was playing me. Just like everyone else. He moved closer, and for the first time, Alea saw something dangerous in his eyes. But you're different. You're real. You're carrying my child. I'm leaving. She backed toward the door, but it wouldn't open. The keypad blinked red. Open the door, Jackson. You can't leave. Not now. Not when we're so close to having everything we wanted. I never wanted this. I wanted money to save my grandmother. That's all. You wanted more than that. I saw it in your eyes that first night. You wanted someone to take care of you. Someone to love you. He was standing between her and the door now. I can give you that. I can give you everything. By keeping me prisoner. By keeping you safe. By keeping our babies safe. His hand moved to her stomach and she jerked away. The world is dangerous, Alea. People will try to hurt you. Try to hurt our child. But here, with me, you're protected. You're insane. I'm in love. The words came out broken, desperate. I never expected to love you, but I do. I love you more than I've ever loved anything. The person who contacted her next would either save her or destroy her. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. I know about Jackson. I know about the other girls. Meet me tonight. 3 days had passed since Jackson locked her inside the condo. 3 days of him bringing her meals, checking on the baby, and pretending everything was normal. 3 days of her testing every window, every door, every possible way out. Nothing worked. The windows were reinforced glass that wouldn't break. The doors had electronic locks that required his fingerprint. Even the balcony was enclosed with metal bars that he claimed were for safety. The condo that had felt like a gift now felt like a beautiful jail cell. I brought you prenatal vitamins, he said, setting a tray on the kitchen counter. And that green tea you like. I don't want tea. I want to leave. You know I can't let you do that. He sat across from her at the table. Not until you understand. Not until you see that I'm doing this because I love you. This isn't love. This is control. My father controlled nothing. He let my mother believe she was his only woman while he was building families all over Texas. He controlled nothing, and it destroyed everyone. Jackson's voice was getting higher, more agitated. I won't make that mistake. I won't let chaos ruin what we have. We don't have anything. You bought me like livestock. I gave you a choice. You could have said no. You knew I couldn't say no. You knew I was desperate. She stood up, pacing to the window. You targeted me because you knew I had no other options. I chose you because you're perfect, because you're good and pure and everything I wanted for my child. He followed her to the window. Look at this view. Look at this life I'm giving you. You'll never have to worry about money again. You'll never have to work minimum wage jobs or watch your grandmother suffer. My grandmother doesn't even know where I am. She knows you're safe. I had my assistant call her. She thinks you're on a college program in California. You're lying to her too. I'm protecting her, just like I'm protecting you. He put his hands on her shoulders. The baby kicked last night. I felt it. Our child is growing strong. It's not our child. It's my child. You're just a sperm donor. The slap came so fast she didn't see it coming. Her cheek burned, and when she looked at him, his face was twisted with rage. Don't you ever say that again. Don't you ever minimize what I am to this baby. She backed away from him, holding her face. You hit me. I didn't mean to. His voice broke. I am sorry. I would never. I'm just stressed. The company is having problems, and I'm worried about you, and her phone, hidden in her pocket, buzzed again. The message from V. Tonight. Parking garage. Level 3. I have proof about what really happened to Keisha. The woman waiting in the parking garage looked like everything Alea wasn't. Tall, blonde, wearing a designer coat that probably cost more than Alea made in 6 months. She was beautiful in a way that rich women were beautiful. Polished, perfect, and cold. You're Alea. It wasn't a question. You're V. Victoria. Victoria Chin. She stepped forward, and Alea could see the anger in her eyes. I was engaged to Jackson 2 years ago, before I found out what he really was. How did you know about me? I've been watching him. Ever since he destroyed my life, I've been tracking his moves, his purchases, his travel, his hobbies. Victoria pulled out a tablet. He's done this before, more than you know. The screen showed photos of young women, Black, Hispanic, Asian, all poor, all desperate, all between 18 and 25. Keisha Williams was number 4. You're number 7. What happened to the others? The first 3 took his money and disappeared. Smart girls. They knew something was wrong and ran. Victoria swiped to the next photo. Then came Keisha. She was different, stubborn. She fell in love with him. Like I did. Like you did. And when she got pregnant, he decided she was perfect. His ideal woman. His property. Victoria's voice turned bitter. Just like he did with me. You were pregnant. I was going to be. We've been trying for months. He had everything planned. The nursery, the nanny, the private school. He'd already decided our child's entire future. Victoria showed her another photo. Then I found out about his other women. The contracts, the payments, the lies. What did you do? I left. I broke off the engagement and told him I'd expose everything if he didn't get help. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. He convinced me he'd changed, that he'd found someone special, someone real. Keisha. And when she tried to leave him, when she realized what he really was. Victoria's voice trailed off. What happened to her? I don't know, but I know she didn't just disappear. Jackson doesn't let go of things he considers his, especially not when they're carrying his child. Oh my God, Alea's hand went to her stomach. He's going to kill me. Not if we stop him first. Victoria pulled out a small recording device. I've been documenting everything. His financial records, his communications, his pattern of behavior. But I need your help. What kind of help? I need you to get him talking. Get him to admit what he did to Keisha. Get him to confess on tape. Victoria's eyes were hard. I'm producing a podcast about men like him. Rich men who think they can buy women like objects. Your story could save other girls. He'll never confess. He will if he thinks you're leaving him. If he thinks he's losing you and the baby. Victoria handed her the recording device. Men like Jackson can't handle rejection. They break down. They tell the truth. The evidence Victoria showed her would change everything. There's something else you need to see. The podcast episode went live at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. By noon, it had 50,000 downloads. By evening, it was trending on social media. The title was simple: The Baby Collector, How a Tech Millionaire Preys on Desperate Women. Alea listened to her own voice telling the story. Victoria had edited it perfectly, keeping the most damaging parts while protecting Alea's identity. They'd used a voice modulator and called her Maya instead of Alea. But anyone who knew Jackson would recognize the details. The recording she'd made was devastating. Jackson, believing she was leaving him, had confessed everything. His obsession with finding the perfect woman, his surveillance of potential candidates, his manipulation of their desperate situations. And then, in a moment of rage, he'd said the words that would destroy him. Keisha thought she could play me. She thought she could take my money and run. But I showed her what happens to women who try to leave me. The confession hadn't been as clear as Victoria wanted, but it was enough. Combined with the financial records showing payments to women who had later disappeared, it painted a picture of a man who collected people like objects. By the time Jackson got home from his office, reporters were camped outside the building. His company's stock had dropped 30%. 3 more women had come forward with similar stories. "You destroyed me." His voice was quiet, but Alea could hear the rage underneath. "You destroyed everything I built. You destroyed yourself." She was standing by the window, bags packed. Victoria had sent security to get her out. "You're sick, Jackson. You need help. I gave you everything. I loved you. I wanted to build a life with you and our baby. You wanted to own me. There's a difference. So what now? You're going to raise my child alone? You're going to deny me my right to be a father. I'm going to protect my child from you." She turned to face him. "The police are on their way." Victoria gave them everything. "Victoria," he said the name like a curse. "My lying, manipulative ex-fiancée. And you believed her over me. I believed the evidence. I believed your own words." She pressed play on her phone. His voice filled the room. "I showed her what happens to women who try to leave me." His face went white. "You recorded me. I recorded a confession. The FBI is very interested in what happened to Keisha Williams. And the others. There are no others. Keisha ran away. She took my money and disappeared. Then why are you so afraid of them finding her?" The final confrontation would determine both their futures. The front door opened. Victoria walked in with 2 FBI agents. "Jackson West, you're under arrest." The arrest happened so fast that Alea barely had time to process it. One moment Jackson was standing in their living room, and the next he was handcuffed, being read his rights while news cameras flashed outside. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." "This is a mistake," he kept saying. "I never hurt anyone. I never hurt Keisha." But as the agents led him away, he looked back at Alea with eyes that were cold and calculating. Not the eyes of an innocent man, the eyes of someone who'd been caught. "You think you're safe now," he said, "but you're carrying my child. That connects us forever." Victoria squeezed Alea's hand. "He can't hurt you anymore." But Alea knew better. Men like Jackson didn't just disappear. They found ways to maintain control, even from prison. The next few months were a blur of lawyers, depositions, and media attention. The FBI had found evidence connecting Jackson to the disappearances of 3 women, including Keisha. Bank records showed payments to all of them. Phone records showed his last contact with each one before they vanished. They never found the bodies. Jackson's lawyer argued that the women had taken his money and chosen to disappear, that his client was a victim of extortion, not a predator. The jury didn't buy it. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Alea testified twice, her belly huge with the baby she was carrying. She told the court about the contract, the confinement, the manipulation. She played the recording of his confession. Jackson watched her the entire time, his face expressionless. But when she mentioned the baby, something flickered in his eyes. Ownership, possession, love twisted into something dark and dangerous. "I loved her," he said during his testimony. "I wanted to give her everything. I wanted to build a family." By imprisoning her, the prosecutor asked. By protecting her. By keeping her safe from people who would use her. Like that woman. He pointed at Victoria. She turned Alea against me. She poisoned her mind with lies. What happened to Keisha Williams? I don't know. She left. She took my money and disappeared. But you said you showed her what happens to women who try to leave you. I was angry. I was hurt. I said things I didn't mean. The jury deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, the verdict was guilty on all counts: kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy to commit murder. Jackson was sentenced to 25 years to life. As she held her newborn daughter 3 weeks later, Alea made a choice that would define their future. She named her Hope, not because she believed in second chances or redemption, but because she believed in the possibility of something better, something clean, something free from the darkness that had brought them together. The baby had his eyes, but that was all she would ever have of him. 6 months after Hope was born, Alea received a letter from prison. The return address made her stomach turn, but she opened it anyway. "My dearest Alea," it began, "I hope this letter finds you and our daughter well. I think about you both every day. I dream about the life we could have had together." The letter was 8 pages long, filled with apologies, explanations, and promises. Jackson claimed he'd found God in prison, that he'd realized the error of his ways, that he wanted to be a better man for his daughter. "I know I made mistakes," he wrote. "I know I hurt you, but I want you to know that everything I did came from love. I loved you so much that I couldn't bear the thought of losing you. I still love you. I will always love you." The letter ended with a request. "Please bring Hope to see me. She deserves to know her father. I promise I'm not the man I was before. Prison has changed me. I could be the father she needs." Alea read the letter 3 times, then threw it in the trash. 2 weeks later, another letter arrived, then another, each one more desperate than the last. In the 4th letter, he included a photo of himself in his prison uniform, smiling and holding a picture of Hope that he'd somehow obtained. "She has my eyes," he wrote. "I can see myself in her already. I can see the intelligence, the determination. She's going to be special, Alea. She's going to change the world." That's when Alea realized he would never stop. Prison hadn't changed him. It had just given him time to plan his next move. She hired a lawyer to stop all contact. She changed her phone number and moved to a different city. She enrolled in college under a scholarship program for single mothers and started building the life she'd always wanted. Hope grew up healthy and happy, surrounded by love, but shielded from the truth about her father. Alea told her that Daddy was sick and couldn't visit, that maybe someday, when she was older, she could decide if she wanted to meet him. But Alea hoped that day would never come. She learned something important during those dark months with Jackson. Money couldn't buy love, control couldn't create connection, and desperation made people do terrible things, but also made them strong. She was stronger now. They both were. And that was enough. What would you have done in Alea's shoes? Was she right to keep Hope away from her father? Was there any chance Jackson had really changed? Comment below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will keep you questioning everything you thought you knew about love, family, and the price of survival.